It's all about the game and how you play it, Lemmy rasped, and who are we to argue with a certified metal god? Yes, for 27 years and counting, Paul Levesque has reconfigured the wrestling world around him like chess pieces, each moving in different directions to his satisfaction. As a wrestler, the man we know best as Triple H was viewed as a calculating politician, while the executive version is seen as an evolutionary-minded visionary in NXT. Love him or hate him, the game is every bit the Cerebral Assassin, like that nickname implies, and his longevity in professional wrestling speaks to his dexterous understanding of just how the clock ticks. I'm Jack from Cultaholic.com, and this is the captivating career of Triple H. As a teenager living in Nashua, North Hampshire, Paul Levesque took up bodybuilding, wanting his physique to be comparable to the wrestling stars on his television screen. After training at the school of Killer Kowalski in the early 90s, Levesque made his in-ring debut in March 92 using the fantastic name Terror Rising. Yeah, you get it. As Rising, the muscle-bound youngster built his career in the northeastern independent scene before joining WCW in January 94. By the middle of that year, his gimmick was changed to that of a French aristocrat named Jean-Paul Levesque, and in that role he lost to Alex Wright at the 94 Starrcade event. He then left the company in January 95 after just 1 year with the promotion. However, he would last considerably longer than 1 year in his new home, coming aboard WWE shortly thereafter. His gimmick wouldn't be all that different from his WCW identity, except it was tweaked to that of a Connecticut snob. Originally, he was to be known as Reginald DuPont Helmsley, but he suggested Hunter Hearst Helmsley as a way of giving the initials some kind of hook. What a wise decision that turned out to be. Vignettes aired of Helmsley talking down to the viewer with elegant diction, his nose pointed high in the air, before making his in-ring debut that April. According to Shawn Michaels, it was backstage at WrestleMania 11 that Levesque introduced himself to the Clique and let it be known that he wanted to roll with them backstage. Early life for Helmsley on WWE television was essentially just a parade of one squash after another. As a thinner at the time, Connecticut Blue Blood put down one enhancement talent after another, with his finisher, the Pedigree. His first pay-per-view match for the promotion came at SummerSlam 95, where he defeated Bob Sparkplug Holly in a rather spirited undercard match. Slightly later, Helmsley entered into a natural feud with hog farmer Henry O'Godwin, the dainty snob against the messy blue collar. That rivalry culminated with the first ever hog pen match at the December 95 In Your House, which saw Helmsley win after depositing Godwin into the designated filth. In the 96 Royal Rumble match, Helmsley was forced to enter from the number 1 spot, and he put on an impressive showing lasting 48 minutes before getting dumped out by his Clique brother, Diesel. After coming out victorious over another working man in Duke the Dumpster Droese, the stage was set for Helmsley to make his WrestleMania debut, though it wasn't exactly the best of nights for him. The still mid-card Helmsley was set to play the role of fresh meat to appease the feeding frenzy of a returning Ultimate Warrior. After Warrior infamously no-sold Helmsley's pedigree, the face-painted superhero demolished his hapless foe inside of 100 seconds. That's right, if you go back through Triple H's WrestleMania record, despite all the epic wins and losses he'd have later on, it did all begin with him getting squashed in a very, very short amount of time. Helmsley's year would become even more strained at a Madison Square Garden house show, where Clique mates Diesel and Razor Ramon were wrestling their final WWE matches before leaving for WCW. And yes, Hall and Nash may have debuted there as the super cool outsiders, but guess who was there before it was cool, plugging away? That's right, Terror Rising. But now back to MSG in a moment that would gain considerable infamy. Helmsley and Shawn Michaels break in character by joining Diesel and Razor in a planned farewell that was caught on bootleg video. The curtain call, as it became known, was reportedly approved by Vince McMahon, but he was forced to walk to the back when veteran agents and officials expressed disgust at the scene. Helmsley, though, was the only one punished for the incident, losing out on a planned 96 King of the Ring victory. He would spend the next 4 or 5 months in the doghouse, losing almost exclusively, aside from the occasional win over a TV jobber. During this time, Helmsley began a rivalry with Mr. Perfect, who was inactive as a wrestler. Helmsley would bring well-dressed models to ringside with him before his matches, only to watch as Perfect would convince convince the girls to leave with him, earning Helmsley's scorn. This would lead to the pair facing each other on an episode of Raw in October 96, but Helmsley attacked Perfect backstage beforehand. IC champion Mark Mero, an apparent protege of Perfect, stood in for him in the main event against Helmsley and took a brutal chair shot to the head from Perfect himself, thereby revealing that the entire locker room attack was a bloody dastardly ruse. You've been bamboozled, Mark Mero. Helmsley then pinned him to win his first piece of gold in WWE. The champion's next rivalry was former IC champion Goldust, whose ire Helmsley drew when he made a rather scandalous, but unheard by the audience, comment to Goldust's wife Marlena. Helmsley retained the belt in a match between the two at the 97 Royal Rumble, but dropped the gold nearly 4 weeks later on a special Thursday night edition of Raw to 24-year-old upstart Rocky Maivia. The war between Helmsley and Goldust had not ceased and would extend into WrestleMania 13. Though before that date came to pass, Helmsley would debut new female accompaniment that was quite unlike the statuesque escorts that we'd seen him with beforehand. This one, however, he knew from his days training under Killer Kowalski. Enter Chyna. The muscular force of nature that was the ninth wonder of the world gave Helmsley the bite he'd been lacking for nearly 2 years, and he was elevated out of the dead-end man of privilege gimmick that he'd been rocking previously. After dispatching Goldust at Mania, Helmsley and Chyna stormed onwards, with the rising star winning the 97 King of the Ring after defeating Mankind in a violent final round match. The two then waged war throughout the summer, trading wins in SummerSlam cage matches, a singles match at One Night Only, and a Falls Count Anywhere match on Raw. Before those final matches with Foley, Helmsley gained another on-screen ally in real-life best friend Shawn Michaels. Together with Chyna and bodyguard Rick Rude, the faction brought irreverence and controversy to WWE as D-Generation X. By this time, Helmsley was getting referred to more and more as the hipper-sounding Triple H, although it's nothing on Terror Rising in my humble opinion. And he was there by Shawn's side throughout all of HBK's attention-grabbing moments. From Montreal to scantily clad Christmas hijinks to the sudden induction of Mike Tyson into the group. Triple H was gifted the European title from Michaels in this time frame, which was kind of like the finger poke of doom, but not quite as bad. And he would retain his new title at WrestleMania 14, defeating Owen Hart. When Michaels was forced out of the ring with a career-threatening back injury, Helmsley took the reins of DX. He had already been filling in for Michaels in house show matches against Steve Austin prior to WrestleMania 14, so the ball was already rolling towards Helmsley outgrowing his sidekick role. And when Helmsley commandeered the leadership spot, DX quickly grew as X-Pac, Road Dogg, and the one, Billy Gunn, joined he and Chyna in comprising the second version of the group. While D-Generation X had previously existed as a villainous entity, the grinning disdain for tradition and authority was clearly resonating with a large chunk of the WWE fanbase. Before long, this version of DX became babyfaces. This tonal shift was crystallized when the group filmed a faux turf war in which they showed up on the grounds of WCW, both the offices and at their TV tapings, while supposed WCW fans cheered them on. In this way, D-Generation X were positioned as gleeful anti-heroes, and was set up to feud with the no-nonsense Nation of Domination. Helmsley, in particular, gunned for the IC title held by its leader, The Rock. At SummerSlam 98, the title would change hands in a dramatic ladder match inside MSG, with both men making their mark in what was probably the best match of either man's career up until that point. Triple H wouldn't hold the title for very long though, vacating it due to a legitimate knee injury. Upon returning later in 1998, Triple H led DX into battle against Vince's corporation, but was stunned by the defection of Chyna. 2 months later, however, the pair had a happy reunion at WrestleMania 15, but this was merely the prelude for Helmsley to join the corporation, double-crossing poor little X-Pac. Throughout the coming months, especially after splitting from the corporation, Triple H took on more familiar characteristics with the short trunks, sturdier frame, and the wielding of a sledgehammer. The night after SummerSlam 99, Helmsley defeated new WWE champion Mankind, capturing the belt that had long appeared to be his destiny. Helmsley and Chyna were soon separated in WWE canon, leaving him on his own, but then, in one of the most shocking conclusions to an episode of Raw, Helmsley disrupted the wedding of Test and Stephanie McMahon to reveal that he had taken a passed-out Stephanie to a drive-through chapel in Las Vegas where the two were wed apparently against her will. The Attitude Era, everybody. Later on, however, it was proven that she was acting under her own power. That's a pretty massive relief, as she aided her new husband in defeating a vengeful Vince McMahon at Armageddon 99. And so, as we headed into a new century, the McMahon-Helmsley era was in full bloom. The year 2000 was Helmsley's career year, as demonstrated in inspired title matches against Cactus Jack and The Rock, especially those ones against Cactus Jack like the Royal Rumble Street Fight and their No Way Out Hell in a Cell match. Any doubters to Triple H's main event mettle were finding themselves increasingly silenced, as he proved to be WWE's ace heel. Even without the belt, Triple H kept busy, outlasting Chris Jericho in a last man standing match, warring for Stephanie's affections against sneaky old Kurt Angle, and revealing that he was the icy mastermind behind the vehicular assault of Stone Cold Steve Austin 1 year prior. Yes, that's right, Rikishi didn't do it for The Rock or for the people, he did it for Triple H. The year 2001 was shaping up to be just like 2000 for the game, as his in-ring quality was still very evident in matches with Angle at the Royal Rumble, Austin at No Way Out, and in becoming Undertaker's 9th streak victim at WrestleMania 17. Sorry, WrestleMania X7, yo. Shortly after Mania, Helmsley formed the two-man power trip alongside heel WWE champion Stone Cold, and the two looked like they were going to be the top villains for quite some time. Less than 2 months later, however, Triple H's career was put on hold after tearing his quad in a thrilling tag team title match on Raw against Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. All in all, Triple H would miss about 8 months of action. When 2002 dawned, he returned from injury as a valiant warrior, aided by memorable vignettes set to U2's Beautiful Day, which is quite a contrast to his Motorhead entrance music. Triple H made good on his comeback, winning the 2002 Rumble match before going on to WrestleMania X8, and defeating Chris Jericho to win the undisputed title. Along the way, Triple H and Stephanie split up as an on-screen couple, leaving Triple H to hang around the main event scene as something of a babyface loner. That was until it was decided to bring back the heel version of Triple H, which came when he callously assaulted best friend Shawn Michaels that summer. After earning rave reviews for his street fight against a returning HBK at that year's SummerSlam, Triple H was arbitrarily awarded Raw's brand new World Heavyweight Championship by Eric Bischoff. For the next several years, Helmsley reigned as Raw's #1 heel, flanked by Evolution allies in mentor Ric Flair, capable understudy Batista, and a man you may have heard of before named Randall Keith Orton. Scores of former champions fell at the feet of Helmsley throughout 2003 to build the title up, including Scott Steiner, Booker T, Kevin Nash, and even Goldberg, who did briefly hold the belt before Triple H regained it. After losing the title to Benoit in the WrestleMania 20 finale, Triple H remained a vital part of Raw as Evolution's shot caller. When Randy Orton defeated Benoit for the title at SummerSlam 2004, an envious Triple H orchestrated a beatdown of Orton the next night on Raw. He would then win the title from young Randall the following month at Unforgiven, and continued his virtual dictatorship of Raw before having a falling out with an increasingly independent Batista. Big Dave earned the right to face Helmsley at WrestleMania 21 by winning the Royal Rumble, and Helmsley bled buckets en route to dropping the belt. With Evolution done for and Batista unbeatable in subsequent rematches, Triple H took a sabbatical in the summer of 2005 before coming back for a very underrated feud against Ric Flair, culminating in a brutal last man standing match at Survivor Series. By 2006, however, Triple H needed a change from his time as a calculating heel, and after losing title matches to Cena at WrestleMania 22 and Backlash, the Cerebral Assassin embraced some of his earlier roots. With Shawn Michaels, the two reformed DX as an emphatic FU to Vince and Shane McMahon, and much of the rest of the year was spent clowning the Office in a series of angles and matches. With glow sticks at a sudden premium, DX ventured into a rivalry with Edge and Randy Orton, rated RKO. However, DX were unable to take the tag team titles from the heels, and at New Year's Revolution 2007, Helmsley tore his other quad while delivering a spinebuster. Triple H returned at SummerSlam 2007, defeating King Booker before setting his sights on the WWE Championship once more. A very brief reign the night of No Mercy 2007 led to a lengthy chase of champion Randy Orton, culminating with him winning the title at the 2008 Backlash. Triple H would go on to hold the title for more than 7 months, now uncharacteristically on the blue brand of SmackDown. The following year, the Helmsley-Orton rivalry renewed on a deeply personal level after Randall assaulted members of the McMahon family, including Stephanie. What a despicable little viper. WWE champion once more, Helmsley conquered Orton at WrestleMania 25, only to drop the belt to him at Backlash 3 weeks later. A DX reunion followed later in 2009 as part of Shawn Michaels' last run as a full-time wrestler. After finishing off Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase that fall, Helmsley was seemingly a man without a rivalry before falling into one with fresh new star Sheamus. Triple H was driven out by the Celtic Warrior at Extreme Rules in what was essentially his final run as a full-timer. Now more deeply entrenched in the Office than ever before, Triple H would emerge only when necessary, the COO futilely challenging Undertaker's WrestleMania streak twice more, while also feuding with the likes of CM Punk and Brock Lesnar between 2011 and 2013. Fans expecting Triple H to stay a sort of shadowy peripheral babyface forever were certainly shocked to see him pedigree Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam 2013. This facilitated a group I'm sure you've heard of now now and then, even if you're a very, very new fan of wrestling. That's right, the Authority, which would eventually justify Helmsley's return to the ring as an older version of the game, minus, of course, his signature flowing locks. In this role, Triple H would put over the upper tier of modern stars such as Daniel Bryan, The Shield, and of course, last year, Ronda Rousey, while gaining some curious wins as well. I'm thinking of the one over Sting at WrestleMania 31. What a strange match that was. 1 year after that Sting victory, Triple H entered himself into the 2016 Royal Rumble match and won the WWE title, which he then dropped back to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 32. These days, outside of the ring, Triple H has gained a lot of acclaim for the manner in which he's presided over NXT. As a strange hybrid of a developmental group mixed with an ambitious indie promotion, NXT has earned rave reviews for its star-making and for its acclaim-worthy takeover events that are often held in much higher regard than even their main roster counterpart pay-per-views. Triple H has also been lauded for his administrative career otherwise, providing forward-thinking, a rational voice, and a steady hand for a promotion that hasn't always been seen in the most shining of lights. Through his apparent influence, many aspects of WWE have changed for the better, and the fans have recognised that despite his slightly selfish past where he would beat everyone and everyone and everyone and beat them some more and beat them some more. But it's fine, because he's creating new stars now and everything comes full circle. Nearing the age of 50, Triple H's fingerprints are now all over the WWE product, from his on-screen presence to his tireless work behind the camera. For generations to come, we must assume that Paul Levesque will continue to lord over the wrestling we consume on a daily and weekly basis, hopefully making good of the higher expectations of him. As a wrestler, however, Triple H has nothing more to prove, though keeping him out of the ring seems to be a more difficult battle than first expected. Few would have guessed in 1995 that Hunter Hearst Helmsley would eventually rule the wrestling world, and yet here he is, a 14-time world champion and a genuine legend, as well as the dutiful controller of where WWE will head in the decades to come. Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments section down below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter at Cultaholic and on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do, then please do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic, where you can pledge. And don't forget, of course, most importantly of all, to hit subscribe and to join us.